An hour is always 60 minutes. But 1 hour of surgery, 1 hour of landscaping, and 1 hour of collecting trash are not experienced or valued in exactly the same way. So how can a market compare them? Welcome to Democratic Economy, where we follow the structure of the system to identify the underlying mechanisms of inequality. Labor differs in skill, training, intensity, danger, effort, monotony, and the conditions under which it is performed. The capacity to perform that work is labor power. A person does not arrive at a workplace carrying a finished box labeled 8 hours of labor. They sell the employer the use of their ability to work for a specified period. That distinction becomes extremely important when we discuss wages and profit. First, however, we need to understand how different labor powers become comparable. Imagine a doctor who needs a concrete patio. The doctor could attempt the job personally. After several online tutorials and one deeply regrettable trip to the hardware store, the doctor may decide that hiring a landscaper is the better option. The landscaper could also attempt to perform a medical procedure personally. We will strongly recommend against completing that half of the comparison. Each specializes in labor the other needs. Their work is qualitatively different, but exchange requires a quantitative comparison. Suppose the medical procedure costs $2,000. $1,500 covers equipment and other inputs, while $500 represents the doctor's labor. The patio also costs $2,000. $1,600 covers concrete, equipment, and materials, while $400 represents the landscaper's labor. The market has not declared that medicine and landscaping are identical. It has created a quantitative relationship between the socially recognized labor powers involved. That process is abstract labor. Abstract labor strips away the specific physical form of the activity long enough to compare its social quantity. It asks how much socially necessary time, training, intensity, effort, and sacrifice one form of work represents relative to another. Money gives that comparison a common form. When you buy a commodity, you are not handing over abstract symbols from nowhere. You obtained that money through a claim on social production, usually by performing labor, selling a commodity, owning productive property, or receiving a transfer from someone who did. The money spent represents access to labor already performed somewhere in the economy. This is why exchange can be understood as labor for labor through money. A mechanic repairs vehicles and receives money. The mechanic then spends that money on food produced by farmers, processors, drivers, and store workers. The specific labor changes form, but the quantitative social relationship continues. Use value remains essential. The mechanic does not want a random collection of labor hours. The mechanic wants food. The farmer may not need car repairs today, but can use money to obtain something else. Money separates the two exchanges in time and space. Abstract labor provides comparison. Use value provides direction. Price records the exchange. This also explains why unequal prices do not disprove labor value. A surgeon may charge more during an emergency. A hotel may charge more during a major event. A contractor may charge more when every other contractor is booked. Some of that difference can reflect increased intensity, unusual hours, additional risk, or limited socially available labor. Some can reflect the use value of urgency and the buyer's reduced ability to refuse. The market price contains both relationships. Our job is to identify which force is doing what. Abstract labor does not claim that every worker should receive the same wage regardless of conditions. It gives us a framework for asking what society is quantitatively recognizing when it compares different forms of work. That framework becomes more revealing when a person is not selling a completed product or service directly to a customer. Most workers sell their labor power to an employer. They receive money, then use that money to purchase the commodities needed to live. Capitalists move through the market differently. They begin with money, purchase productive commodities, and seek to finish with more money. Those two movements are written CMC and MCM prime. They do more than describe two transactions. They define the worker and capitalist classes by the roles they occupy in production. That is where we go next.